Welcome back to Old Charles, coin collectors and history lovers. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the United Kingdom 10 new pence coin from 1969. We'll explore its value in today's market, its rich history, and how its condition can greatly affect its worth. So if you own this coin or are just curious about British decimal coinage, stay tuned until the end, because you might be surprised at what this little piece of metal can reveal. Let's start with the history. In 1969, the United Kingdom was in the middle of one of the biggest changes in its monetary system, the move from the old pre-decimal system to decimal currency. Before decimalisation, Britain used pounds, shillings, and pence, with 240 pennies making £1. This system was complicated and had been in place for centuries. The government announced that in 1971 the country would officially switch to the decimal system where £1 would equal 100 new pence. To prepare the public, certain coins were introduced early, and one of them was the 10 new pence coin in 1968 and 1969. The 10 new pence coin was designed to directly replace the old 2 shillings coin, since both had the same value. This made the transition smoother for people who were used to the old money. The obverse side of the coin features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. This portrait became one of the most recognizable images of the Queen and was used on UK coins from 1968 to 1984. The reverse side of the coin features the famous design of a crowned lion, symbolizing strength, courage, and the heritage of England. This design was by Christopher Ironside, a talented British coin designer whose work remains iconic in the world of numismatics. The 1969 issue is significant because it was one of the earliest decimal coins minted, forming a crucial part of Britain's modern currency history. Millions of these coins were produced, and for many years they were used daily across the country. Now let's talk about the value of the 1969 10 new pence coin today. Since millions of these coins were struck, most examples are very common in circulated condition. In fact, if you find one in your change, it's usually worth around 10 to 50 pence to collectors, depending on where. However, the value changes dramatically when we look at condition and rarity. A coin in uncirculated condition, meaning it has never been used and still retains its original shine, can fetch between £2 to £5 in today's market if you are lucky enough to have a coin graded by a professional service. Say, one in brilliant uncirculated (BU) condition. The value can go even higher, sometimes reaching £10 or more, depending on demand. Collectors are especially interested in coins with sharp details, no scratches, and strong luster. These high-grade coins are becoming harder to find because most 1969 10p coins were heavily circulated over the decades. Condition plays a huge role in determining the value of this coin. Let's break it down. These are the most common. They'll show a lot of scratches, dull surfaces, and worn details. Value is usually just face value, maybe slightly above. These coins still show the design clearly, with only small signs of wear. They can be worth around £1 to £2. Coins that were never released into everyday use. They often come from coin sets or rolls kept by collectors. These can sell £4.5 to £10 depending on demand. Some proof sets included the 1969 10 new pence. Proof coins are struck with special dies, giving them a mirror-like finish. These can be worth £15 to £20 or more, especially if they are still in original packaging. Another factor to consider is errors or misstrikes. Sometimes, coins are minted with slight mistakes, like double strikes, off-center designs, or planchet errors. While rare, if you have a 1969 10 new pence with an error, its value could rise significantly, sometimes hundreds of pounds, depending on the uniqueness of the mistake. Collectors also value the historical significance of this coin. Since it represents Britain's transition from the old monetary system to decimalisation, it holds an important place in UK coin history. That makes it more collectible than just its face value might suggest. So, to sum it up, the United Kingdom 10 new pence coin from 1969 is not a rare coin in everyday condition, but it is an important piece of numismatic history. In circulated condition, it's worth a little more than face value, but in uncirculated or proof condition, it can be worth several pounds. Collectors love it for its design, its connection to decimalisation, and its role in modern British history. If you have one of these coins at home, check its condition carefully. You might have a little treasure hiding in plain sight. Let's take a long journey into the history of the 1969 United Kingdom 10 new pence coin, because to understand its true importance, we need to go back not just to 1969, but centuries earlier. For hundreds of years, Britain used the pre-decimal system of currency ***, a system that dated all the way back to the Middle Ages. Under this old system, £1 sterling, £1, was made up of 20 shillings, and each shilling was made up of 12 pennies, meaning that there were 2 pennies in a pound. This system worked for centuries, but by the mid-20th century, it was seen as outdated and unnecessarily complicated, especially in an increasingly modern world where trade, banking, and international connections demanded a simpler monetary system. The British government began serious discussions about decimalisation in the early 1960s. Decimal systems, where a currency is based on units of 10 or 100, had already been adopted by most of the world. Countries like the United States, Canada, and Australia had long been using decimal currency, and Britain realized it was time to modernize. In 1966, it was officially announced that Britain would move to a decimal system by February 15, 1971, a date that would later be known as Decimal Day. But before that big day arrived, the Royal Mint had to start preparing the public for the change. To help ease the transition, the government introduced a few decimal coins early, so that people could get used to the new system alongside the old one. That's where the 10 new pence coin comes in. Introduced in 1968 and 1969, it was designed to directly replace the old 2 shillings coin.
Why?
Because 1 10p was equal to 2 shillings, and this made it easier for people to understand the new system without feeling lost. In fact, when the 10p coin first circulated, many people continued calling it 2 bob, a nickname for the 2 shilling coin. The design of the 10p coin also carries a lot of history. On the obverse side, you'll find the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by the talented artist Arnold Machin. This portrait, introduced in the late 1960s, became one of the most iconic images of the Queen, and it was used on British coins for almost 2 decades. It showed a youthful queen, wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a piece of jewelry that itself carries royal history. On the reverse side, we see the design by Christopher Ironside, a respected British coin designer. His work features a crowned lion, a powerful national symbol of England, representing bravery, pride, and strength. The lion has been a royal symbol for centuries, dating back to the Plantagenet kings of the 12th century. By placing this design on the 10 new pence coin, the Royal Mint was connecting Britain's modern currency with its long and proud traditions. The 10 new pence coin of 1969 is also historically important because it was minted at a time when the Royal Mint itself was changing. The old Royal Mint had been based in London for over 1,000 years, but by the late 1960s, it was struggling to cope with the demand for millions of new decimal coins. So in 1968, the Royal Mint began moving its operations to a brand new site in Llantrisant, South Wales. This massive move was essential for producing the billions of coins needed for decimalisation. So, when you hold a 1969 10 new pence coin in your hand, you're not just holding a piece of money, you're holding a symbol of change. It represents Britain's leap into the modern era, the shift from centuries of tradition to a more practical and globally recognized system of currency. It also connects to the story of Queen Elizabeth II's reign, the work of talented designers like Machin and Ironside, and the relocation of one of the oldest institutions in Britain, the Royal Mint. When it comes to the value of the 1969 United Kingdom 10 new pence coin, one of the most important things to understand is condition. The exact same coin can be worth just a few pence or several pounds, depending on how well it has been preserved over the years. Most 1969 10 new pence coins you'll find today are in circulated condition. These coins were used every day in shops, pubs, and markets across Britain from 1969 through the 1980s and 1990s. Naturally, coins that passed through thousands of hands developed scratches, dents, worn edges, and lost their original shine. Now we reach the truly collectible examples. Uncirculated coins ***. These coins were never released into everyday use. Instead, they were either stored carefully by collectors, or they came from official mint sets issued by the Royal Mint. Finally, we come to proof coins, which were struck using special dies and polished planchets to produce a mirror-like finish. Proofs are often made for collectors and never enter circulation. Condition is everything in numismatics. Millions of 1969 10 new pence coins were minted, so circulated examples are very common. But finding one in top condition is far harder, because most were used daily. This makes high-grade coins more sought after by collectors. Additionally, grading standards, like fine, F, very fine, VF, extremely fine, EF, about uncirculated, AU, uncirculated, UNC, and proof, PR, help buyers and sellers agree on value. Collectors often send coins to professional grading services, which give coins a grade on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. A coin graded MS, 65 or higher, mint state, can command premium prices. Lower-grade coins, MS 60 or below, are less valuable, but still collectible as part of a set. The way a coin has been stored also affects its condition. Coins kept in albums, protective capsules, or mint packaging will usually stay in better shape. Coins left loose in drawers, purses, or jars often become scratched or tarnished. For collectors today, preserving coins in good condition is key. Even cleaning a coin can reduce its value, since cleaning scratches the surface and removes natural toning that collectors appreciate. Condition can transform an ordinary coin into a valuable collectible. So if you find a 1969 10 new pence coin, always check its condition carefully. You may be holding more than just a small piece of change.